Hi guys, welcome to another Jamaican video, a Jamaican living in Germany. Now in this video, I'm going to be telling you all about some of the surprises that I experienced when I was signing up for electricity for my new apartment. For those of you who have been watching the Jamaican videos, then you would actually notice that the background has actually significantly changed. And that's because I moved into a new apartment. And soon enough I'll do an apartment tour, but for now I'm just working with this background, still figuring out where to position the camera and all those different things. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the new background and if maybe I need to position the camera somewhere else and so on. Would love to hear your feedback on that. Now back in Jamaica, we only have essentially one major electricity company. I think there might be one or two minor ones, but most Jamaicans actually use a major company. So we essentially have a monopoly there. And you will hear typical stories of, for example, overcharging, unexplained prices, and just countless crazy stories with this company. In some places, power cuts are quite popular. I mean, sometimes the power might go for like a couple of hours or a couple of days when they're doing like different maintenance and all those different things. Apart from that, stealing electricity is a big thing in some communities because some people aren't necessarily able to afford electricity, so they just kind of get some wires, they throw it up on the power lines, and that's how they actually get electricity. All the wires are overhead, so you have these different light poles and then the different wires for electricity. I think also telephone and other services are right above you, so wherever you are in Jamaica you can pretty much look up and you'll actually see these wires. And that is also part of the problem why it takes a long time for some places to kind of recover whenever there are hurricanes. I mean, Jamaica is in the Caribbean and we have a lot of hurricanes, and so after a hurricane some places it takes a really long time for them to get electricity back, because then they have to go through and they have to check all the wires and then remove trees that fell down on these different wires. Another thing is that you pay the electricity bills yourselves. So what I mean is that when they send you the bill, then either you go to like some transaction store, but I don't think they're called transaction, bill payment. You go to some bill payment stores and then you can pay your bill, or you can also do that online and just transfer the funds. Now, these things are new to me because when I came to Germany, I was like staying on student dorms and so on. And that meant that I just paid my rent and that covered all the expenses with electricity, internet and so on. So I didn't have like a direct contract with any of these service providers. My rent would cover all these different things. So it's like moving into this new apartment and having to go through all these things, it was like a completely different world. The first thing that stood out to me when I came to Germany was that there were no power lines anywhere. I mean, you have like some major ones that might run across the farmlands and so on, but for the most part, you're walking through the city, you won't see any power lines. This thing was like probably the most shocking thing for me, because when I was searching for a company, I discovered that there are like more than 1,000 electricity companies in Germany. For me, coming from a country where there's a monopoly, my mind was just like, what? I couldn't wrap my mind around it, and then I kind of started researching a bit like, how is that even possible? And then so essentially they have a grid, and then you have all these different companies which would then provide the electricity to customers, so they don't necessarily have to be within the same region that the company is based. And I was like, no, that is like really, really cool. And so the company that I selected, for example, is actually based in Berlin. And I just kind of find it crazy that like I'm hundreds of kilometers away from Berlin and I am getting electricity like from this company. Most of the things that you would get here, you need a contract for it. So of course, electricity is one of those things. And for me, that was just like a complete twist, just turned my mind like completely upside down, because back in Jamaica, it's not a contract. I mean, you sign up for electricity and, well, I guess it's kind of a never-ending contract because it's a monopoly anyways. But then here you have to select a contract, and they're usually like 1 year or like 2 years or something like that. You don't really get far in Germany without contracts, like contracts for electricity, for internet, for mobile data. Yeah, I mean, there's like a contract for everything in this country. With many of these contracts, what they do is that they automatically book the money from your account. So when you're signing up, then you provide your bank information and then they'll just book it automatically. You don't need to think about it, because I think that's a big problem in Jamaica, where it's like a lot of times people forget to pay their bills or they pay their bills late. And then of course, electricity is disconnected. You have to pay money for it to be reconnected. a lot of these companies offer like, they offer like an instant bonus, and there's also like a new customer bonus. Now, I couldn't wrap my mind around that because my relationships with electricity companies before, it was like, hey, it's a one-way street. You pay them money and you don't get any money back from them. But it's like here, these companies are essentially competing to get customers, and that's the beauty of not having a monopoly actually. Getting money back from an electricity company, that for me was like, okay, that's just crazy. That's I don't know, that for me was like really new, and it's like it just expanded my mind like a million times more, like, whoa, was that even possible? How they do it in Germany is that you essentially calculate what your average amount that you will need each month. So based on the number of persons living in the house, based on where you're located, and like other factors, then you essentially have like a fixed amount that you pay every month to the electricity company. So for the 1 year, you're paying the same amount every single month, which was, yeah, as you would expect, really surprising for me. So what happens at the end of the contract period is that they look at your actual usage and your projected usage, and then they compare it, and then depending on what your usage was, it's even possible for you to get back money. It's quite hilarious that I'm talking about electricity, and in this very same video, my lamp decided to go out. But anyways, so as I was saying, what they do is that they look at your actual usage for the period and what they projected that you would use, and then they compare this, and then it's possible for you then to get back money based on your usage, which typically happens quite a lot, because since I've been living on the dorms, more or less I've been getting money back like at the end of each year. I'm guessing that even at the end of this contract period that I'm going to be getting back money from the electricity company, which is just amazing. I find that to be a really cool system, but at the same time I wonder, why don't they just use the actual usage for each month, and instead of charging you a fixed amount? But anyways, the system works, and I think it's actually pretty good, because then at least at the end of the year you have some money to look forward to. You can say, hey, I got a Christmas gift from the electricity company. So yeah, it's nice. I've never experienced a power cut in Germany. I'm not even sure if there are power cuts in Germany, but I kind of want to experience one. I mean, I don't know why. It's a kind of a weird hope that I have, but I don't know, maybe it doesn't even happen. But for the people that are watching the video in Germany, I mean, I would love to know if you've actually experienced a power cut, or even how frequently they happen in Germany. Please let me know in the comments, because I would love to know. For me, the entire process was like really interesting, because then you have like these different portals that you can use to compare like different utilities and so on. And then I used one of these portals, entered my information, and then it gave me a list of electricity companies. Of course, I chose the cheapest one, and then you enter your information. They send that information off to the electricity company. They create a contract, they send a confirmation to you, and you have electricity just like that. I mean, it was all done within like 2-3 days actually. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience, and I'm actually waiting on my bonus from the company. They sent me an email yesterday that the money should be coming sometime this week, so I'm definitely excited to be getting money from an electricity company. Like, well, Germany is awesome. I'm trying my best to make videos more frequently, and especially with this new apartment, I think I'm even more motivated because it looks really cool, and then I have much more space to do things and whatever. So you can look out for more videos, and I also love your ideas, and I love your suggestions, and I love your questions, so you can put them down in the comments in terms of what type of videos or what type of things you'd like to hear me talk about, and so on. Just let it all go right down in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching the video, and see you in the next Jamaican video.